It was supposed to disappear into the background of another long tennis week. Nothing about the setting suggested history. Nothing about the atmosphere hinted at controversy. Nothing about the moment looked viral. Just another media room. Another tournament. Another athlete answering another endless stream of repetitive questions. The fluorescent lights buzzed softly overhead. Journalists sat behind rows of laptops. Camera operators adjusted their focus. The air conditioning hummed quietly through the ceiling vents. And in the center of it all sat one of the most intense young stars in world tennis. He looked relaxed, comfortable, composed, the kind of composure athletes learn after years of media training. He adjusted the microphone in front of him, leaned back slightly in his chair, and prepared himself for the usual cycle. Questions about match preparation. Questions about fitness. Questions about confidence. Questions about rankings. The answers came automatically. Professional, polished, controlled. Rune spoke the way elite athletes are taught to speak in public. Never too emotional. Never too revealing. Just enough personality to sound human while still protecting yourself from headlines. Everything about the room felt routine. Predictable. Forgettable. Then one name changed the entire atmosphere. A journalist from a Filipino sports outlet raised her hand and mentioned. First, nobody thought much of it. Why would they? Athletes are constantly asked about rising players. Especially young stars generating attention internationally. Usually the answer follows a simple formula. She's talented. She works hard. She has a bright future. Then everyone moves on. But this time something strange happened. Rune paused. Not dramatically. Not long enough to seem intentional. Just enough for the room to feel it. His eyes dropped briefly toward the table before lifting again. Then he smiled. And it was not the polished public smile people were used to seeing from him. This one looked genuine. Caught off guard. Almost vulnerable. Like for one unexpected second he forgot there were cameras in the room at all. The journalists noticed immediately. Because reporters spend their entire careers studying reactions. And this reaction felt different. Rune quietly repeated her name to himself. Alex Eala. The room became strangely attentive. Then he spoke again. I've actually been following her progress. Several reporters looked up from their laptops instantly. That alone was already unusual. The ATP and WTA tours often operate like separate universes. Players occasionally compliment each other publicly. But detailed emotional praise across tours is relatively rare unless there is already an established storyline. But Rune kept talking. And the more he talked, the more the atmosphere shifted. He mentioned her composure under pressure, the expectations she carries, the emotional weight of representing an entire country every time she steps onto the court. Then came the sentence that stopped the room completely. She is incredible. Not good. Not very talented. Incredible. The sincerity in his voice was impossible to ignore. People can hear the difference between politeness and authenticity. And this did not sound rehearsed. Sounded honest. Rune paused again. His fingers tapped softly against the table, as though he suddenly realized he had drifted further emotionally than he intended. Then came the 4 words that would explode across the internet within minutes. She is inspiring, maybe more than that. Silence. Heavy silence. The kind of silence where every person in the room instantly understands something unexpected just happened. Reporters stopped typing. The clicking of camera shutters suddenly sounded louder than before. Even Rune himself appeared to recognize the weight of what he had just said. He cleared his throat quickly and tried steering the conversation back toward safer ground. Players like her remind you why you love the sport. But the moment was already gone. Tape. Captured forever. And in the modern digital world, once a moment escapes into the algorithm, nobody controls it anymore. Within minutes, clips from the press conference began spreading across social media platforms around the world. X exploded first. Then Instagram. Then TikTok. Then YouTube. Sports accounts reposted the footage with dramatic captions. Reaction creators zoomed into Rune's facial expressions. Fans slowed down the clip frame by frame, searching for hidden meaning in every pause and glance. 10 seconds of honesty became an international storyline overnight. And suddenly 2 athletes from completely different corners of tennis found themselves pulled into a viral narrative neither of them created. That is the strange power of internet culture today. The algorithm does not care about context, cares about emotion. And this clip had emotion. Holger Rune and Alex Eala could not appear more different publicly. Rune plays tennis like a storm. Intensity pours out of him every match. He argues with himself, celebrates loudly, feeds off adrenaline and confrontation. His emotions are visible every second he competes. Eala represents something entirely different. Stillness, discipline, composure under pressure. She carries the hopes of Filipino tennis fans around the world with a calmness that feels far beyond her age. Where Rune burns loudly, Eala absorbs pressure quietly. Where Rune explodes emotionally, Eala remains measured. They are opposites in almost every visible way. And maybe that is exactly why the internet became obsessed with a moment. Because opposites create stories people desperately want to believe. Within hours, entire fan pages dedicated to the imagined connection between them began appearing online. Hashtags started trending globally. People searched old tournament footage looking for hidden interactions nobody noticed before. Photoshopped images spread rapidly. Fake dinner dates, fake vacations, fake red carpet appearances, fake candid photos. Some of them looked shockingly realistic. Casual viewers scrolling quickly through their feeds genuinely believed they were authentic. The line between reality and fiction disappeared almost instantly. People began giving them ship names. Fan edits paired emotional music with slow-motion clips of their interviews. Creators built fictional timelines about when they supposedly first noticed each other. And all of it came from one unfinished sentence during a routine press conference. That is how quickly modern social media transforms human moments into digital mythology. But underneath the entertainment, something far more uncomfortable was happening. Alex Eala's identity as an athlete slowly started disappearing beneath the narrative. And that is the part many people failed to notice. Because Eala did not become one of tennis' brightest young stars because of romance rumors. She earned every ounce of attention through years of sacrifice. Through brutal training sessions, through injuries, through endless travel, through loneliness, through pressure, through representing an entire nation every time she walks onto a court. The Philippines is not traditionally considered a global tennis powerhouse. That made her rise even more extraordinary. Every victory mattered. Every milestone carried history with it. She was not simply building a career. She was expanding the possibilities of what young Southeast Asian athletes could dream about. And yet suddenly millions of people were discussing her for reasons completely disconnected from tennis. Instead of analyzing her backhand, they analyzed Rune's body language. Instead of discussing her footwork, they discussed his smile. Instead of focusing on her accomplishments, the internet reduced her into the girl Holger Rune talked about. That is the uncomfortable reality female athletes still face constantly. The second emotion enters the conversation. Their athletic identity often gets pushed aside. Male athletes are usually allowed to remain competitors. Female athletes often become storylines. And the transition happens terrifyingly fast. One viral moment, one emotional quote, one unfinished sentence. That is all it takes. Meanwhile, Eala stayed silent. No public reaction. No cryptic social media post. No attempt to feed the speculation. She simply kept training, kept competing, kept moving forward. And honestly, that silence may have been the strongest response possible. 'Cause eventually social media always moves on. The hashtags fade. The edits stop trending. The gossip disappears. But careers remain. Results remain. Legacies remain. And Alex Eala seems far more interested in building those than participating in a narrative she never asked to be part of. Ironically, the original moment between Rune and Eala may have been something genuinely beautiful. One athlete recognizing another athlete's strength. Nothing more, nothing less. But modern internet culture struggles to leave emotional honesty untouched. Every interaction becomes content. Every vulnerable moment becomes speculation. Every expression becomes evidence for a theory people desperately want to believe. That is the real story here. Not secret romance. Not hidden drama. Not conspiracy. Just two young athletes trapped inside an algorithm designed to turn human emotion into entertainment. Holger Rune probably spoke honestly for 10 seconds. And in the digital age, 10 honest seconds can create an entirely fictional reality overnight. Now the tennis world watches everything more closely. Every future interaction between them will be analyzed. Every interview dissected. Every glance examined for hidden meaning. The cameras will linger longer than before. The headlines will arrive faster than before. And the internet will continue searching for evidence supporting a story it already decided to believe. But if history tells us anything about Alex Eala, she will probably respond the same way she always does. Quietly, only, competitively. Because while the internet chases drama, she continues chasing greatness. And maybe that is what makes her so compelling in the first place. Not the rumors, not the speculation, not the viral edits, but the fact that despite all the noise surrounding her, she never seems to lose focus on who she actually is. Competitor, fighter, a rising star carrying the dreams of millions. The viral moment will fade eventually. Another headline will replace it. Another rumor will take over. Another athlete will become the center of online obsession. That cycle never stops. But years from now, when people look back at Alex Eala's career, the internet drama will not be what matters. What will matter are the matches, the victories, the pressure she survived, the barriers she broke, the history she created, and perhaps most importantly, the way she protected her identity in a world constantly trying to rewrite it for entertainment. Because in modern sports, that might be one of the hardest battles athletes face. Not the opponent across the net, but the millions of strangers online trying to turn their lives into fiction. And through all of it, Alex Eala keeps doing the same thing. She walks onto the court, she grips the racket, and she lets her tennis speak louder than the noise around her ever could.